In the original Final Fantasy VII, Chocobos were introduced after leaving Midgar and getting access to the open world. Once reaching the Chocobo farm, you have the opportunity to learn all about how to catch, care, and breed them. After obtaining the Chocobo lure materia, you can then begin your hunt for catching a Chocobo. Traditionally, you would walk over Chocobo tracks on the world map in hopes of encountering one in a random battle. Killing all the enemies on screen would result in capturing a Chocobo. How will this compare to the Final Fantasy VII Remake? Well, we know that the moment Chocobos are introduced in the Final Fantasy VII Remake will likely be at the same point in the game. It is probable that it will also require Chocobo lure materia as well. At the point of making this video, it is uncertain if there will be any form of random encounters in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. This raises a few questions about the Chocobo catching portion of the game. Will there be tracks to walk along? Will we encounter a Chocobo with enemies? And will we be required to take out the enemies quickly in order to capture the Chocobo? Probably not. Based on the direction this game is going in, I don't believe random encounters will exist, especially when it's intended to go in a more realistic direction as seen by the content revealed. I believe the most appropriate way to handle catching a Chocobo is to use tracks to signify there are Chocobos in the designated area. Knowing what region they are in could require wandering around in the area to find wild Chocobos. This would likely require the Chocobo lure materia to either make it easier to lure a Chocobo or, like the original, be mandatory in order to catch a wild Chocobo. Once again, due to FF7 Remake going in a more realistic direction, instead of fighting enemies in order to catch Chocobo, it may make more sense to use food to lure in a Chocobo. It could also incorporate a mini game of its own that you must complete in order to catch the Chocobo, almost like catching a horse in a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 or Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is purely speculation. However, it could be a more appropriate way to incorporate the seeking and catching a Chocobo process in 2019. Catching Chocobos is great and all, but as any Final Fantasy VII fan knows, there's so much more you can do with Chocobos in Final Fantasy VII. As usual, we should have different classifications and breeds. Every Chocobo will not be able to reach maximum stats and has its own potential. Different breeds or colors will have their own perks as they did in the original. Raising Chocobos could include more than just racing and feeding them as they did in the original. It could include mini-games to improve specific stats. Based on your performance, your stats would improve accordingly. Naturally, racing would then further improve your Chocobo's stats. As with any living organism, the quality of food given will have a significant impact on how your Chocobo grows. The better quality the source of food is, the better the growth of your Chocobo. With that said, even in the original FF7, certain Chocobos responded more to specific types of food. I imagine this will carry over to the remake, adding a bit of personality to your big bird. So what about breeding? Well, it wouldn't be Final Fantasy VII if we weren't able to breed our trusty steeds. I imagine it would probably work similar to the original in the way that you require certain quality Chocobos with the appropriate nut to create any specific breed of Chocobo. I do think that we would be able to catch different colored Chocobos in the wild this time around, but we could also go at it the old-fashioned way and make one from scratch. With that said, there very well could be a deeper breeding system in play for the remake that doesn't allow two regular yellow Chocobos to breed any colored ones, requiring you to catch a colored Chocobo to breed the more rare species. This leaves us with the last part of the Chocobo experience. Chocobo Racing. The Gold Saucer likely would be the place for Chocobo Racing. I don't imagine much will change in terms of where you go to initiate these races. I do think they will revamp the racing mechanics. Those are my thoughts on how everything will work when it comes to Chocobos in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Do you think any of this is plausible? If not, what do you think they will do when it comes to everything Chocobos in Final Fantasy VII Remake? Thank you all for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, and follow me on Twitter. Link is in the description. I will talk to you all on the next one.